Hi everyone, and welcome back to this series of videos about MyAniMATE3 features, and we are finally at the animation export. So, we are here where we left off last time with the uh, with this this anim file being exported with really random settings. Right? And yeah, let's take a look at where that is. Sorry, open folder there. And we notice that the file here is basically too big, right? So yeah, we'll see how to, first of all, make the thing split into different animations because it's very likely to be too big also in terms of number of seconds. So we're currently working at 24 FPS, and therefore this is most likely going to be a too long of a sequence anyway, not only in terms of number of kilobytes per file, so that makes it unfeasible to use and to export an animation like this in one single file, but we'll also reach the hard cap of 60 seconds uh, very easily. So let's grab a calculator and let's see how many frames are 60 seconds. So it is 24 FPS. That means 24 frame each second. And we have 60-second hard cap limit. So the math is really easy. You do a 60 multiplied by the number of FPS that you have there. So it's going to be 24, and this is the hard cap limit, 1440, right? And instead here we have a 1900. So let's split this. We know that we're going well beyond the hard cap limit in seconds, right? So let's split this into two evenly distributed, so basically the half, all right? And so let's do another calculation. Okay, so it would be 1900 divided by 2. We have 950. Okay, so that would be way smaller than the hard cap limit of 1 minute and would make the two animations be exactly the same length. All right, but okay, you can split it however you like. So what we're going to do is to change the name, and I'm gonna call this part 1. And how much did we say it was? 950. So 950. Create another clip, and this is where the thing is really easy. So it's done automatically. Part 2, same priority. Now this other one, I would make it start from 950, so same frame. So it would have enough time to make the blending and adjustments. So I will start the frame at 950, and the end frame would be 1900 as we had it before. Does it have to loop? Don't know, but it doesn't matter for the purpose of demonstrating the workflow here. All right, and then export the animation. So first one almost exported, and boom, second animation being exported. So what happened there? We open the folder, which is still here. And now we have two animations here, right? That are still too big, right? And we should aim to have them under 250 kilobytes. 250 kilobytes included is the hard cap. So this definitely is not going to work, but we helped it quite a bit. Now that we have reselected the character controller, the main character controller on the floor, MyAniMate has recognized the fact that there is no rig whatsoever, and therefore there are two extra things here. The animation resampling feature. All right. Now, this animation resampling feature is going to take into account this range, so you cannot just calculate the resampling if end frame and start frame are as a default 0 and 0. It would just give you 0 here, right? And so it will be tailored on the current frame range. No more, no less. So the two numbers between the two clips can be different. Don't worry. But also be warned of the fact that the animation resampling is what I have calculated to be the real hard limit to try and retain fidelity, but we are basically removing some frames, which means there will be some data loss. And therefore, just do not grab the number as it is, test it. You can test it, of course. But if it's not working, my suggestion is to decrease this number slightly. So let's hit on calculate, and these are ratios. And you can see that the numbers are different because the section of animation has different kind of positions and rotations. All right, and therefore the numbers are slightly different. I would advise to go in and calculate and decrease these numbers starting from these last digits. Maybe not that much for the position. Instead of 0.3, I would set this to 0.01 and this one at 0.02, and I would decrease that this much, so a 0.04 less than before, and also this like this. Let's see what the output will be. As you can see, it's going faster because some things are not being sampled the same, and you see that it is where the animation is most likely more in a state of bigger movements, it slows down and then it goes faster. So it's really an adaptive method. Let's see what the result is, and ta-da! Part 1 is now 89 kilobytes, and part 2 is now 116 kilobytes, which is quite good, I would say. It's a decrease in file size that is major, I would say. So we can afford to have more detail there. So let's hit recalculate again on both clips. And let's try the slightly less aggressive approach there. Like this. And export again. Okay, so I've lost that window. Sorry. Here. It's still it's still quite aggressive. Okay, so yeah, recalculate there. Recalculate here. Let's be blunt there. Let's do like this. Around a 0.8. Position threshold is very, very low, so I'm not really worrying about that, but this was a pretty high number on both animations, so rotations are being aggressively uh, cut down. So yeah, so the lower this is, the highest the fidelity is going to be. All right, and you see they are now bigger, so we can afford to go even lower and try that again. 130 and 100 kilobytes. Okay, we can go even lower. Cool. So yeah, it's maybe it's a, how to say, trial and error um, kind of process. But the lower this is, the highest the fidelity of your getting. The higher instead you go with these numbers, the more aggressive the data loss will be. So we can even just go back and forth, like in the animation import that we had from the other day, um, from the other video. We can just remove that animation, just proceed with that, and I'm going to use like part one and see how degraded we exported it. So I'm gonna load that. It may take some time, but you can really tailor and craft the actual export, having a visual feedback of what you're going to get once uploaded. So it's less of a trial and error, it's less wasted uploads, and with the anim file, basically it's a what you see is what you get kind of situation. So if you're satisfied here, chances are that in Second Life it's going to look like almost exactly. I would say exactly, but let's be honest, almost exactly, because you never know with Second Life. Um, so I would say that this is pretty satisfactory, and there isn't a huge data loss. As you can see here, the foot was planted earlier, right? And it's still planted. So this is an indication that the resampling did not lose data. You see, it's still planted there. So the original animation has been respected to the most part, and therefore I would say this is good to go. And something that you previously could not be able possibly to upload into Second Life is now basically uh, able to be processed for an optimization pass that you can check directly in Maya without even being logged in into Second Life and not wasting your money on test uploads anywhere, real or real grid or the beta grid, it doesn't matter. It's still a time sink, and yeah, you can definitely have a much finer grain kind of control over what you have here. So you can really tailor and craft animations that are both highest fidelity as possible, super long, and yeah, these are going to work, and you can be basically sure that what you're going to export is going to work, and it's not going to have any problems at all in terms of length and in terms of actual file size. So no risk of the animation being rejected upon upload. And even if it's on the border, so on the edge of being rejected, you can still go in and fine tune and have a nice uh, pass of polishing and optimization. Now, say that it's like 3 a.m. It's not actually here, but and you're super tired and you're still in the process of experimenting. You want to save things off, you know? So this usually with MyAniMate, if the Maya session stays up, will be remembered. So if I go to MyAniMate3 and open the window after having closed it, things will be remembered. But if you shut down Maya to go to sleep, as one does sometimes, right? Um, these are going to be lost. So we can save these off as a config file. So Bandai dense test. I'm gonna save it. The configuration has been saved successfully. Okay, so if I remove everything, okay, I have everything set as default, like that. If I now go in and try to load the configuration, by proceeding, your current configuration will be lost. Continue, yeah, of course, because I want to load that one. Bandai Dense Test, and here it is. Now the only thing that doesn't actually apply is the threshold, unfortunately. We could try again, but yeah, threshold is something that really needs to be calculated on the fly, because this is on a just-in-time and on-request kind of operation, which I see to be safe. I saw to be safer if being recalculated, because it's just better to do the calculation when it's needed to be done. But anything else is basically restored. As you can see, start frame, end frame. Well, we didn't use the easy in and out and looped and the other checkboxes, and also this one here would be restored just in case. All right, anything else except the animation resampling is being restored. The other thing that cannot be restored, and maybe in future iterations I might be able to do that as well, is the joint priority mapper. So now let's take a look at the joint priority mapper. So this is basically attached to the clip you create it from. So you can have a joint priority mapper per clip that you have here. All right. And this took quite a bit of time to create, and it's dynamically generated starting from what joints we have available here. So we don't have any attachment points or um, collision volume bones in the animation setup, but if we had, those would be listed here, okay, next to another tab with different background colors. And here you can set the individual joints priority that would override the general setting that is in the clip. So if this is set to 3, but then in joint priority mapper you set the pelvis to be 4, just the pelvis will get 4, everything else will get 3. Also, you can force exclude something by choosing the joint that you have here and setting it to exclude. So even if it's animated, it's going to be forced excluded. You can force included if it's not going through, and even if it's just static, not moving, you can force include it. Yeah, the basic principle of this new iteration of MyAnimate, so MyAniMate3, is that if it's got an animation curve influencing the rotation and or location of a animation skeleton joint, that's going to be included, no other rules applied. So if you haven't animated it, though, but the pose that it has needs to be statically there no matter what, you can set that joint to be force included, and it will just have two keyframes, one at the beginning and one at the end, that will just set its rotation, location, and whatnot. All right. And then the default. Now on the bottom side, we have a few buttons that could help you do something, right? For example, we have the sections, and if you want to split the animation, if you have a body animation with hand animations, and the animation is pretty long, rest assured that at some point you will not be able to optimize things so that the file or the files would be able to actually go through all together as body and hand, or body and face, body, hand, face, all together in one single file, even if you are splitting them in many and you're trying to optimize. So here is where you can take real advantage of this. You can have the settings here, right, to split the animation. And so you have priority 3 and whatnot, and you can basically export in different animation layers. Or, I mean, theoretically and in principles, those can act as layers. So say that you have all the hands and face animation on top of the body. You can force exclude everything on the hand and force exclude everything from the face and just export the body, and everything will apply from here. Just remember to make a name for that. Just body, for example, just hands, and just face. The animations will always be matching in length. All right. Then once you're done with the body, you can exclude the body and then put the include all on the hand. So all the fingers would be exported, same length, synchronized with the rest of the animation that you exported with the body. Also, you can do a reset overrides. Those would be the default behavior and they would be exported. if animated, and you can export the same animation, just change the names for the hands, and everything would be good to go. Then when you're done, then when you're done with the hand, you can exclude all on the hand, go to the face, reset the overrides, go to default, which means it will just export anything that's animated on the face, or if you need, include all, even those that aren't animated will be exported, and export the same clips for the face. Therefore, you would have a set of 3 animations. You'll be able to decrease the file size, even on very, very long animations that you could not optimize to the point of retaining the animation fidelity and decreasing the file size to a reasonable size. And therefore your system, your scripted animated system should just start these animations in tandem. So body, face, and fingers started all together, and they will always be already by default at source synchronized to each other, which is super cool because along with the optimization, which would take less time to load them into the viewer, download them from the servers and load them into the viewer, that helps a lot in having more optimized content and avoiding the headaches of exporting things that would not be accepted, basically, and therefore making trades-off with smaller clips, like 10 seconds clips that needs to be, sequenced every 10 seconds, and all of the loading time issues that you may encounter uh, when loading many in a sequence. You just have a longer sequence that takes some time. Make a system, make your scripter or make your scripts with a system that starts preloading somehow by starting the animation and stopping it immediately so that gets downloaded, and when it's needed, start it. Avoiding a lot of other headaches. So, yeah, I hope that you enjoyed this new set of features that I thought to help with the production of more complex and more high fidelity animations. And yeah, I'll see you next time. Bye.